well, this is gonna be awkward. I was ready to talk about the big update that is heading to TFT with the next set. And we will still do that. But literally a day before all the reveals happened, TFT got into some drama, which happened to be a bit more meaningful. Specifically, it is all related to TFT's esports. Now, looking at the timeline, there's actually quite a lot happening around TFT right now. First, we got all the teasers aiming at the next set. The last patch on the live version of the game is a cool one because it is the for fun patch at the end of the set. The Tacticians Crown tournament also happened, which is pretty much the equivalent to TFT's Worlds, or maybe it's closer to something like MSI. They also got the new cinematic for the next set, and once again it was proven that the TFT cinematics are getting better and better, after which we finally got the full reveal of the next set. In fact, all of this together looks amazing and there is a lot of good things that can be said about all of this. But unfortunately, while all of this momentum was great, there was something bad that happened. And it happened at the Tacticians Crown tournament. Now, as some people may know, I am not that much into esports, so whenever something is happening around that territory, I usually just watch other people's videos to learn about what's actually going on. And it turns out there is a lot of videos around the internet on this specific topic. So I'm just gonna link to CLE Gaming, because that explanation is pretty good. Anyway, here's a quick TLDR of the TFT situation. During the Tacticians Crown tournament, they got to a point where about 12 people were competing for getting into the next stage of the tournament. And slowly, over the course of the next few games, people started dropping off. Until we got to a very specific game where we got 4 people playing. 3 players were competing from the Chinese region, with the last one being from Europe. Now, at this stage, 2 out of these players knew that they wouldn't be able to progress further, no matter the outcome. It was a point at which it was guaranteed that they would drop out. But there was also Soap, who was guaranteed to get in, with Lilu being right at the edge. The thing is, besides Lilu, there was also another player who wasn't in this game, called Precedent. And these 2 were pretty much tied up. Meaning that this game, and specifically the last fight of this game, decided which one of these would progress further. And that is where this clip started circling the TFT internet.
Positioning, by the way. There is no world where you have to full left your Vi here. He's taken items off. He removed Violet! He removed Violet! He moved items from Violet 3 to... He's wintrading! What's just happened here? He's no scout, no pivot. That Violet's been in since 2-1. He just did Lilo the biggest solid I've ever seen. This is unbelievable scene.
So, in the final round of this game, Shidoran allegedly lost on purpose, so he would drop even further than Lilu in the rankings. Lilu would get 1 extra point, he would kick out Precedent, and he would keep going in this tournament. So in other words, the argument is that Shidoran lost on purpose, so that Lilu, another player from the same region, could get more points and keep going. As to how well this was actually done, well, people broke that down too. First of all, Shidoran played with the no scout no pivot augment, which basically ramps up your units the longer you are using them. With this comp, of course, he played Violet, a 1-cost unit that was on the board from the very beginning, which means that Violet was pretty stacked. On top of this, Violet had the activated family trait and perfect items, which can turn Violet into a solo carry. On top of this, you can see that next to her there was Vi that was holding Redemption, with Redemption reducing damage taken as well as healing everyone around it, so that it's just funneling into Violet again. Which means pretty much this entire comp was all about making Violet as powerful as possible. And because this strategy has been in the game since the very beginning of this set, a lot of people knew what was going on, and so that's why people quickly picked up on it. Which is how, let's be honest, there was a lot of uproar when these allegations came up. Really, it got to a point where some really big names were voicing their opinions. And it just gave me some good old memories of everyone complaining about Hextech chests. And so it didn't take long and Riot had to make a statement. In fact, the next day, we got the competitive ruling, which reads: "We were recently made aware of allegations of intentional underperformance by Shidoren during the Into the Arcade Tacticians Crown to benefit Lilu. As we are committed to maintaining a fair and professional environment for all participants, we immediately began reviewing the situation in accordance with our standard process. After reviewing the situation and all available evidence, we have determined that the allegations are unsubstantiated. At this time, we are not opening formal disciplinary proceedings against Shidoren and Lilu. The full competitive ruling is available below." Now, to be fair, this competitive ruling is detailed. They are going into timelines and connections and the relationships between players. Like really, you can't say Riot didn't put in effort into reviewing the situation. However, the outcome is still that nothing happened, which of course kickstarted quite the comments. Again, really, it's like flashbacks of Hextech chests. But as to why nothing happened, well, here's why. Simply said, while the actions are pretty clear, there are a lot of other things that don't exactly match up. For example, apparently, these two players didn't know each other. And that came clear even after reviewing if these two players ever even messaged each other. According to everything that was reviewed, they were just strangers from the same region. Also, the player who did this swapped into playing TFT from the Battle for the Golden Spatula, which, in case you don't know, that is a separate game that is licensed in China to be their version of TFT. Also, normally they play on mobile, but for this tournament they had to play on a computer. Now yes, it would be dumb to argue that a human being doesn't know how to control PC. However, if you've ever played the mobile version of TFT and then the PC version, you'll notice that the UI is actually quite different. The buttons even have just different layouts. So of course, people should keep in mind that all of this is gonna affect performance. Also, it was the last round of someone's tournament, so it would make sense that they would be desperate in trying to make something work and in order for them to stay in the tournament. And when all of that nonsense happened and they swapped to Vi from Violet, you can see they actually placed Vi onto the left side, so that she would trigger the augment together with Draven. Which means, it's not like they actively tried to make their board as bad as possible. If you look at it from this side, they really tried to make their Vi as powerful as possible. It is just possible that their placement of the items was slower because they were playing on PC compared to mobile. In fact, that is why this entire situation got into a gray area. If you look at this play-by-play, them taking off the items off of Violet, or re-rolling Redemption, which is a perfect funneling item for Violet, and then swapping everything onto a second carry that is just objectively worse. It definitely looks like they did this on purpose. But the way they did it shows us that it might have been just someone who tried to do something in order to stay in a tournament. And actually, despite being advised to not talk about this topic, because people are gonna twist it into whatever they want, Mordog spoke on the situation and he gave a pretty good argument. I mean, we've all done this. We have all started losing and just kept going down and we felt hopeless. I mean, that specific player in the tournament at that point lost 6 rounds in a row. And during those moments, we just try something. Literally anything different from what you've been doing right now might be the thing that might save you. This is simply something extremely common in TFT. I can give you countless of examples of me trying to force mechs back in the day in order for them to not work and me just panicking and doing whatever. And Mordog is absolutely right on this. However, he may still not be right about what actually happened. The issue is, the intention of what happened doesn't actually matter. What matters is that both the possible intended outcomes are possible. There are a lot of things that suggest that he lost on purpose, but there are also a lot of different explanations for this to be done by someone who is trying to pull off a miracle in the very last round of their tournament. Because of this, what Riot has done may not feel moral to many, but purely technically speaking, this is the right decision. And I'm absolutely talking about this as someone who has zero bias in all of this. I play TFT, but I don't watch esport, I am not rooting for anyone, And I kinda don't really care about what regions are in a tournament. And don't worry, I am not trying to play it up for Riot, because recently we've learned that if Riot burns, I actually benefit from it. So this is me just purely focusing on the rules of a sport that is being played. The real problem is that punishing a player who had a 70% chance of cheating is still a bad decision, because you still have solid 30% that they were innocent. And no matter what sport we are talking about, and no matter what tournament we are talking about, you want to catch the cheating players with hard evidence, so that you know that when you are punishing someone, it is the right decision. If you don't have hard evidence, even if it is far more likely that the player actually cheated, unfortunately, the correct decision is to not do anything. This is why it is very rare to see big punishments in any kind of sport around the world. With that said, even though the competitive ruling is that nothing would happen, it is not like nothing is happening. Truth be told, all of this does have a big outcome. Because now, after this drama happened, people know that Riot is aware of these kinds of situations. I mean, they knew about it before, but now they are really paying attention. So going into the future, people will think hard whether they want to try something like this again. Meaning that the likelihood of this happening again went down. Because people are publicly aware of this now. And should Riot catch it again, they will be likely more aggressive. With that said, I would also like to point out that some people also came up with the stupidest argument that Riot did nothing because the cheating player was Chinese and China gives TFT a lot of money. But those people are totally unaware that China actually has a totally different version of TFT called the Battle for the Golden Spatula. That is actually where Riot gets money from China, not players playing in their tournament. There is nothing Riot gets from that. It's the same people saying that Tencent is the one who's doing all the gacha in League, all while Tencent gave Riot the freedom to do anything, because they know that a free developer is more likely to give them the money back. So those arguments are just stupid. But in the end, after this competitive ruling was revealed, has the reception of TFT changed? Well, not at all, and there is a hilarious reason why. While you can see a lot of people being mad on Twitter, and again, I totally understand that there is a likelihood that that player cheated. The moment the next set was revealed, all of this vanished. And now people are excited to see all the new things that are happening in TFT. And that's also partially done because while in League there is a lot of people who stopped playing the game and they still love watching the esports, TFT is the kind of a game that everyone likes playing, or at least a lot of people do. At the same time, not a lot of people like watching TFT esports. And so when something happens in TFT's esports, it doesn't really affect the average player. And so, after the new set was revealed, it's like nothing happened. And this is just really funny, because in the end, after all of this drama happened, what's really going on is that TFT's esports got more attention. It doesn't matter that it's bad press, it is still something that happened around the esports and people are aware of it now. So you could argue that this drama is a big W for TFT.